Hey everyone, this is Aaron at Popaholic, and I have the pleasure of talking with the Australian legend himself, Dom Mariani, who was with several bands that are among my favorites. We're talking DM3, The Someloves, and of course The Stems. How are you doing today, Dom?
I'm doing great, thanks, Aaron. Nice to be
Great.
here.
Thanks so much for joining me on this. Now, you were in so many different bands, when we talk about DM3, they were like one of the early power pop bands that I really fell in love with early on, especially Road to Rome, which was in 1996, I believe. What was it had so much of a polished edge and everything like that. Did you see DM3 as a continuation of the Stems, or was it a clean break from the Stems and you just started something different at that time?
Yeah, I think it was a continuation, I'd have to say, because like towards the end of the stems, I guess we were heading more into a sort of classic pop, songwriting. There was a few songs off that album like "Never Be Friends," "Running Around." There was a couple of tunes on there that were sort of definitely heading in that direction. I was a big fan of, even though the stems were very much sort of 60s garage rock influenced, it was always about writing good tunes.
Right.
And I was very much into the Raspberries and Badfinger and the Shoes and Dwight Twilley and all these people that was my sort of like another love that I had, and I was slowly bringing in those influences into the stems to become more of a sort of a melodic, less sort of three-chord garage, which was really great. We loved all that Nuggets and the Electric Prunes and the Easy Boots and all that kind of thing. But I think if the band was moving forward, we had to become a little bit more, I guess, contemporary, and
Right.
that style sort of crept into the stems. But then the stems broke up and the Some Loves came out of that.
Yep.
And
Another great band.
yeah, look, it's a great record, and it's a shame it didn't sort of continue on from there. But I think that the DM3 came out of a combination of the latest stems and then on from the Some Loves, because the Some Loves is definitely more of a jangly project, but I sort of, with the DM3, sort of put in a bit more aggressive guitar, more of a rock and roll edge to it, and to me that was my perfect combination, I suppose, for what I was trying to do at the time.
Very good. You've been involved in so many different bands, though, like the Dominics, Datura 4, and other projects. What keeps you hungry to start those new bands instead of just sticking with the one that you're in?
Look, I think DM3 ran its course, I guess, in a way. Even though we sort of came back from time to time, the band was never fully kind of broken up. We'd come back and do the odd tour of Europe and do some local shows and stuff. But I think just as a musician, music lover, I
Hmm.
love a lot of other music. Like Datura 4 is more the sort of guitar rock side, the psychedelic guitar rock blues. As a
Right.
guitar player, I like sort of blues guitar playing and learned to, a lot of guitar licks, which I find with a lot of the classic sort of power pop from the 70s was infused with a lot of that stylings, the Chuck Berry thing. But like the Beatles, they brought those influences together and created these fantastic songs like George Harrison and, Wally Bryson's and that of the world, were great players that probably listened to, great rock and roll and blues records from the 50s and 60s. So I'm pretty much the same as that. I liked Led Zeppelin and, Deep Purple when I was younger, and loved the instrumental side of guitar as well. The Ventures, and my first guitar teacher introduced me to the Shadows, so
Wow.
those things, have stuck with me. And through those musical influences, I guess I've listened to a lot of other stuff, like soundtrack music and your country music and what have
Well,
you.
you have
I guess music fan.
Yeah, you have a variety of influences, that's for sure. I mean, bands like Red Cross and the Posies and Teenage Fan Club, they all get, whenever people ask them, uh, who's a great band, I mean, you get mentioned, and the stems get mentioned in power, do you feel that Australia's power pop scene has gotten its due recognition internationally, or do you think there's room to grow there?
I think there's room to grow, definitely. There's a couple of good bands sort of coming out at the moment that I really like. There's a few guys, there's a local guy by the name of Benny Ward, who has
Ah,
the
yes.
Reinhardts. They made a great record, and he's got the touch. He writes great tunes. He's got a solo record coming out now, which is more like a punk pop thing, but it really works. He's got the knack for writing really catchy tunes. And there's another young fellow that came from Perth who's now lives in Melbourne, Wes Fuller. Don't know if you've heard of Wes.
Yes, yeah.
He's
Both
another one.
those artists have been in my top 10 in the past 2 years. So I'm very much aware of them and, very big fans of them as well. There is a new Australian band. Well, not new, but if you've heard of the Wellingtons, they have a new album out and they're
Okay.
very much a great power pop band.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you're into it, you stick with it. It's a passion, and you kind of, I guess, keep working on the craft to write that ultimate pop song that we're all chasing. That's kind of been my quest and keeps me going. Really, that it's not like I've written a song and think, well, that's it. I've written the best song I can ever write. It doesn't happen like that. I'll get up one day and pick up the guitar and out comes a melody or a riff or a lyric, and the next thing I want to put it down. I want to record it.
Yeah, well, that leads into my next question. When you write, a memorable hook or a song like that, do you start with the guitar riffs first, or do you like form an idea and lyrics to drive the song first?
Most of the time, it's a guitar line, but I'll be humming something in my head, and it could be some nonsensical kind of words or lyrics that finally connect to
Hmm.
form some kind of chorus or an introduction, like a verse. Um, Sometimes find myself on public transport, that not very often, but when I've got nothing to do and I'm just sitting there, I'll pick up my phone and some lyrics will come into my mind and words, and I'll jot them down, and hopefully they make it to a song. But yeah, look, can't, and it's not a discipline that I can say that I can really say that I have a routine that I wake up every day and go pick up the guitar. I'm going to write a song.
Right.
I haven't written any songs now for probably a month or so, but
But
that'll
anyway,
come around.
yeah, of course. How has your songwriting changed as you've gotten older? I mean, is it harder or easier to tap into that raw melodic energy, or is it, a challenge, to get there?
I'd surprise myself, I really do, because when I said I was done with the DM3 thing, I thought it ran its course. And I thought, well, I want to try something different. I'm just put together a fun band doing sort of just, hard rock and sort of psychedelic blues stuff, or the instrumental stuff with Majestic Kelp. I had a bunch of tunes that I doodled around with, and I thought one day I'm going to put together an instrumental album, put these songs all together. And that sort of just went from there, and I ended up doing 4 albums worth of that stuff. So
Wow.
same thing with the pop. I'll be sitting down and I go, well, this song's not really suited for Datura 4. It's something else that I'm really like and I want to do. I'll store this
Hmm.
away for, another project. Maybe DM3 could come back together and do a single. And we did that with the
Nice.
Monsters a few years back. But I thought the ones that I thought these are going a little bit more kind of beyond just the straight ahead power pop thing. I might use these for a solo record, and that's how the solo record came about.
That's how Apple of Life was formed, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All
Yep.
right, well, let's talk about Apple of Life because that's the new thing that's coming out in October. We have it set, and I listened to it, and it's a fabulous album. I really enjoyed, especially the first couple songs of the album. Breakaway, very dramatic opening with bells, guitars, and drums all getting there, and then you get into that chorus at the end. Like, how did you do that chorus? Was that a group of kids in the background?
No, that's a couple of friends of mine.
Huh? They sound
some,
really young.
well,
But
yeah,
it,
thank you.
but it's really cool, and but I think that the the center of that album is, of course, the title track, "Apple of Life," a great power pop song, really loaded with hooks in there and riffs that just keep staying in your head. I also like the following one, which is the world on its head." Very good song as well. Also memorable, very very memorable. And then there's something contemporary after that, which is "Sad State of Affairs," which kind of mellows out a little bit, but it tells a pretty good message about tuning out, putting down the phone, and trying to do things without the computer in front of you. That kind of message, which I think is nice. Everyone needs a digital detox once in a while. Can you tell me a little bit about that song? How did that develop?
Yeah, that's one of the ones that have been around for a while, actually. And I was playing that one, funny enough, in the Majestic Kelp, which is an instrumental band. But there were a few. We'd have to break the setup occasionally to do some songs that had some singing in it, so people wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
get bored with just the instrumental thing. And that's been around for quite a while. And yeah, that developed into a surprising track in the end because I have this electric sitar,
Yes.
and I used that for the melody. And I was a big fan of some of those old '60s hits like the Box Tops and things like that, where they used it very well in those pop songs that they did. And I thought, oh, come up with a riff to kind of like give that something different. Yeah, that one there, yeah, like you say, it's a different track, and as you say, it's got a little message to it, just about the way we are at the moment, just where we're at with yeah, just technology and things sort of going so fast that it's very hard to keep up with things, and not all of it's good.
True, true. The following song after that I thought was pretty interesting too. A very laid back ballad, "Where Do Lovers Go." It kind of reminded me of Badfinger's song "Moonshine," if you're familiar with that song.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
the rhythms are very similar, and it has the same kind of relaxed vibe to it, which was I thought pretty cool. But the mainstay, I think, in most of the songs that I heard was a lot of steel pedal guitar. Is
Yes.
this something that you picked up over the years, or it's just something that you decided to really push to the forefront in this solo album?
A bit of both, really. The guy who played the pedal steel on it, Luke Dux, he's a friend of mine. He's a very talented musician. He was
Mm,
in the Majestic Kelp. So we had this pedal steel member who also played some guitar as well. So he's one of those pedal steel guys. It's not your traditional kind of pedal steel guy.
right?
He takes it from a different angle, and I can ask him to play these melodies, which are not your traditional, I guess, country stylings, and use them in a pop context. And that's what I wanted to do because a big fan of some of those pop singles like Mike Nesmith and people like that, where they used the pedal steel in some of those great songs that they had, and
Yes.
always thought that it created some kind of relaxed, almost sort of atmospheric, ethereal kind of feeling in the song. Takes the song, it's almost like layering lots of harmonies in it, but the pedal steel has this effect in a song that kind of it does sort of relax it as well, but also makes it very feel good and comfortable. So
That's a great
yeah,
description. Yeah.
yeah, like for that song that you're talking about, "Where Do Lovers Go," that very much started off like a Beatlesque tune.
Hmm.
I kind of, to me, it was like the choruses were Beatlesque and the verses were Neil Youngish, I suppose, in a way. But
And
then, yeah,
yeah, I was just going to say that the other thing where you have a lot of steel pedal is the last song, "Jangle Land," which is out as a
yeah,
single right now. It's just that when you talk about treating the steel pedal as almost like a vocal, that song does it really well. I thought that song was great. So another question I had would be like, as far as collaboration, you've collaborated with a lot of different musicians. Is there anybody today who's on your list that you'd like to collaborate with?
Ooh, where do I start?
And you can't name Ringo or Paul.
Okay.
They're out.
Ooh, well, who can I? Yeah, someone's going to come into my mind.
No, that's okay. You can think about it. We can edit this video and I can, splice it in. Um, another thing that I was going to see, looking back over the course of your years with the Stems, DM3, Someloves, and your solo career, is there anything that you think that people have misunderstood as part of your career, and something that you'd like to clear up with people who've been following you for many years that you're saying, you know what, this, the press has mentioned this and they got this wrong? Anything?
Look, I think there's always elements of that, you've got the specific sort of idea in your head of how you thought this thing was done, and sometimes when you get a review, they it comes out of left field, they mention something, and you go, well, I didn't think of it that way, but fair enough. If that's what you hear, that's great. It's interesting, to hear what people's reactions and how they see things and what they get out of it, and that's the great thing about music. I think as far as music goes, it's best to sort of let other people appreciate it for what they can hear in it. Obviously, you and I, we have our we're knowledgeable about music and we can sort of hear influences and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't get too hung up about it. Um, Datura 4, I guess, is one band where, I definitely have gone off on a different tangent, but I see it as all one thing. I'm
Okay.
still the right, you know, catchy tunes, like tunes that are memorable, like the bands that I guess are influenced by, that influenced Datura 4, like your sort of Zeppelin and your Deep Purples and that. They had great singles back in the day. T-Rex is probably
Yep.
another reference to that band. Um, it harks back to the 70s where those bands were having their moment and they all were trying to make the charts, So even though their albums might have had lots of album tracks and indulgent sort of music, there was always great riffs, great songs, and their influences must have been the Beatles, Like
Absolutely.
a lot of those people, when you hear them talk, they always go, "Who was your favorite band?" And they go, "Well, we love the Beatles."
Well,
Ozzy Osbourne for one. There you go.
yeah, another one.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a song across all the bands that define you as a songwriter, which would it be and why?
Okay. There's a couple. Can I mention two? Two
Okay.
songs that go back to my childhood. Well, there's three actually. There's going to be
Okay.
three.
Great.
Go All the Way by the Raspberries.
Okay.
I Saw the Light by Todd Rundgren.
Classic.
And then these guys wrote three of the best songs, I think. I'd have to say today, Baby Blue by Badfinger. Although
Wow.
Day to Day I love, and I love, you know, um, No Matter What as well. So, they're,
The great Pete Ham lives on.
incredible.
Well, Dom, thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate the time and you talking about your career a little bit. And this new album, Apple of Life, is coming out in October. And I hope you all get it because it is definitely something that I highly recommend. And, we look forward to your continued musical journey, Dom, because, I don't think, and when I listen to your older stuff and your newer stuff, it's almost seamless. I don't see sort of a slowdown in quality or, or a laziness. It's like you work hard on every song. And I see that and I appreciate it. So thanks so
I
much.
love, I appreciate what you've just said. That's fantastic. That's all I want to do is just, keep pushing myself and do good stuff because I love music, and I want to do like the stuff I love. I
I,
aspire to be as good as that. Not that I get there, but I try my best.
you're doing it. You're doing it. Thanks so much.